and welcome back to Let's Play Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. Last time we finished off episode 3, and now we're going to start episode 4. Let's get it underway.
Our little Flonne. She managed to escape the grasp of the demons. She probably used her feminine charm. So Disgaea was already dead. What I don't understand is why Flonne hasn't returned to Celestia. Is it possible she's trying to use the demons to gain control of Celestia? That's it. That has to be it. There is no other explanation. I won't allow it. My plan shall not be interfered with. Still, this demon den is so filthy. It reeks of evil. What's this book? Don't demons know how to put things away when they're done with them? What kind of book is this? My God! This page! This page! All these pages! Yeah! I mustn't fall for the demon's trap. These cunning fiends. But I, the Angel Volcanoes, will not fall prey to such a dirty trick. Where are you? I found you. There's only one person who makes a noise like that when she sleeps. Flonne, I'm taking your pendant. Rot in the depths of the netherworld.
Episode 4, Gift from an Angel. La la la. A pendant?
Yes, it was gone when I woke up this morning.
And what are you trying to say? That one of us stole your pendant?
No, if it were you, you would steal it impartially, right?
So you do get it. Then what do you want me to do?
I want you to help me find my pendant.
Huh? Do I look like a servant boy to you?
No,
What's wrong, Flonne? You look tired.
yes. The Seraph gave that pendant to me before I came to the Netherworld. An angel trainee like me cannot stay in the Netherworld very long without that pendant. At this rate, I will lose all of my energy and eventually die.
That's, Well, that sucks. Prince, what you gonna do?
Like I should care. She came to assassinate my old man in the first place.
That's our Prince. Even capable of turning his back on such a helpless little girl.
Of course.
Harold?
What? It's the truth, isn't it?
Harold, if you can find my pendant, I will give you something good.
Something good, you say? If I wanted it, I'd just steal it from you.
You would use violence on weak little me?
Give it up already. I'm a demon. It doesn't matter who you are, even if you were old, maimed, or diseased.
Fine.
trying to provoke me. Fine. I've got some time to kill. But let me make one thing clear. I'm not doing this for your sake. And when I find the pendant, that something good is mine.
Thank you, Lahara.
You're an angel. You shouldn't be thanking demons. I do what I want when I want. Remember that.
Oh, Laharl, defiant to the end. Anyway, Flonne's pendant has been filched, and if she doesn't get it back, she will die, but it does not actually enact any status penalties on her for this chapter, so don't worry about that. Last time we got a new character, Hogmiser. Now, Hogmiser is not like the rest of our party members. Once we've got him, he ceases to have any impact on the story. As you can see, he is a monster-type character, and although he looks like a unique unit, he is actually a unique variant of a demon type we do not meet until much later in the game. In fact, I don't think within the main story you actually encounter the variety of demon that Hogmiser belongs to. It's actually one you can only encounter in the item world. Don't quote me on that though, I could be incorrect. I never really went over monster units, why I don't really care to use them, and I suppose I can go over that a little bit when the time presents itself. He's actually explaining part of the reasons why monsters have problems in this game specifically is that they have monster-only type weapons. And while they don't have to worry about weapon mastery and gain all their skills via leveling, they also do not access any of the useful skills that normal weapons have. And demon skills, by and large, tend to be pretty weak, honestly. Another big problem is that monster weapons do not get the stat benefits from mastery at this point in the game. There is a mechanic that does allow monsters to get extra power, but it doesn't come in until way later when your levels are like in the thousands. Well, since we're observing from outside, I guess it wouldn't really make sense to pretend like we didn't see the Archangel Volcanus snooping around. It's a blazing core, you say? Oh, let's go check that out. So, that Volcanus guy, awfully presumptuous about Flonne. I don't think his logic really works out, but whatever, it seemed to work for him. But who really cares about that? Let's start the first map. Alright, so Blazing Core is another area like Frozen River with a strong elemental theme, this time fire, so everything we encounter is going to have a pretty noticeable ice weakness. A couple new monster types here. This is the Pumpkin monster type, and over here is a Killer Armor of the Dark Knight class. The Pumpkins are not particularly threatening. The Armor Knight, on the other hand, or Dark Knight, they are actually in one of the few, or rather in the club of monsters that people actually consider to be worth using. They have fairly good stats. Let's see. Oh no, wait, I can hit this with a Foursquare, or rather the 2x2. And there's Flonne demonstrating why she's pretty awesome. So I'm actually, after this video, I'm probably going to stop for a bit to develop my character's weapon skills, because right now they're relatively low. I would like to have them at level 6 at least, because at level 6 everyone learns a new weapon skill, and that gives me some more stuff to show off. Anyways, just get everyone deployed. This is a fairly simple map with only 7 enemies on it. What is nice about it is the geo effect, experience plus 100 for anything standing on it, and unlike other maps, I didn't really go over this because it's not a huge mechanic that you really need to know about. Other maps, their geo effects tend to change after you complete the level and go back to it. In this level, that is not the case. The experience plus 100 geo effect persists after you leave, so this is going to be a good map for building up my item world running characters, as well as my thieves and mages that I'm using to develop Flonne's skills. I've been kind of neglecting Laharl, so I'm going to have him get in on some more action just to get his weapon experience up, if nothing else. There we go. And have Guts take a shot. His Tri-Burst will also be pretty useful here, since it's Ice Elemental, and he won't have to worry about the half damage bug like Flonne will. Hit this guy with a Sky Lunge and have Spike just give him a light tap. Hopefully Etna will be able to do enough damage here that Spike will be able to get the kill, because I'd like him to get a couple levels at least. Well, this guy is still standing on the experience plus 100 panel. Now, there's a very good chance that Spike will not be able to survive a retaliating hit, but I do have a little trick up my sleeve. Not that. Whenever I go to pick people up, or anything really, the game always picks the exact opposite of what I want to pick up. I'm going to have Fu lift up this Dark Knight. Now, as you can see, Fu took some damage from that. Whenever you pick up an enemy and end the turn while still holding them, you take damage equivalent to, I'd say, roughly half their max HP. So you gotta be careful of that. But it's a good way to prevent them from taking actions, because while they're being held, they cannot do anything. Taking advantage of that, I was able to get Spike the kill, and he got 2 level ups out of that. Some cross trainers, nice. I'll head to the hospital and equip someone with that. I guess I'll go with Laharl. That'll bump his move up to 7. Don't really need this power belt. Slippers and cross trainers. Yeah, it's not a huge boost or a huge power loss. So yeah, I've been saying this, but Laharl has by far the most favorable spread of attributes of the main characters. He has a movement of 6, a throw range of 5. Oh.
I want to go home. Why is it so hot? Now I'm all sweaty. Prince, in this heat, Flonne's gonna shrivel up before we find the pendant.
Huh? I'm fine.
How come? I'm gonna kill you if you say that angels don't sweat or have to go to the bathroom.
No, the medicine that a Prinny gave me seems to be helping.
Huh? One of them gave you medicine? Prinnies aren't that nice. You must be hallucinating.
No, it's true. I feel much better now.
Okay, which one of them was it then?
They all look the same. But it's true.
Yeah. The heat must be getting to you after all.
I'm telling the truth.
I actually forgot that cutscene was there, so I got cut off. But yeah, Laharl's just got tons of attributes and good things going for him that makes him a great character to use. So, since we've got some downtime, this isn't going to be a particularly interesting map. I guess I can talk a bit more about monsters. Now, monsters in this game have the somewhat unique attribute of having all their aptitudes being 100%. So, they don't have to worry about losing anything when they equip stuff. Oh no. And that took up Helena's turn. Damn it. Well, Harl, you're too good. But yeah, monsters don't have to worry about, like, losing out on any stats when they equip stuff, so they're a lot like the main characters in that regard. Another thing that monsters have going for them is that later ones tend to have very high base stats in comparison to humanoid units. What really limits their usability is that, one, they can't lift and throw, and we've been over this. Two, they tend to not have, like, amazing secondary attributes like movement range and counters. Another thing I mentioned, and I didn't really elaborate on, but it's a pretty big deal, is that their skills tend to be pretty weak, only a little bit stronger than their basic attacks, and I never really went over how skill damage is determined. It's really simple, actually. Skills do damage basically by multiplying your basic attack by a certain value. Like Hurricane Slash is about 2.5 times as strong as a basic attack, so say Laharl could do 100 damage with a basic attack. If he used Hurricane Slash, you could bet that he'd do about, 250 or so, not counting for any of the random variables in the damage calculation. Monsters, on the other hand, tend to have pretty low values associated with their basic skills, so even if they learn them at relatively low levels and can use them a lot very early on, as they gain levels, they just don't get that much stronger. And what really hinders monsters is some of them are good with magic, and unfortunately in this game there are no monster weapons that actually have decent magic stats, and their own natural magic skills tend to be pretty weak, like damage modifiers that actually do less than their basic attack but run off their superior intelligence stat. But they if they learn magic, and sorry, I'm trying to explain a lot and kind of tripping over my words. If they learn magic through the pupil system, it is not as effective for them because they don't have any weapons that boost their range with magic, so they can only get a maximum of 4 extra range from leveling up the skill. Or is it 5? I've never really used a monster in that way because it's too much of a hassle, but you get my point. Just less effective at humanoids and less effective at stuff that humanoids can do in most regards. What monsters do have as an advantage is, and this is a really early point to mention this because it's not a mechanic that becomes a factor until much later, but monsters have a different modifier associated with their weapons. Now, I mentioned how as humanoid characters level up their weapon mastery, they get a bonus to their weapon stats with about 5... No, not with about, but 5% for each weapon level. Now, monsters don't get this benefit, so they came up with a counterbalance for that. Monsters, they have a modifier associated with their weapon based on their level, and humanoids have this too, but only with their armor. And at the maximum level, 9,999, this modifier actually comes out to about 15 times the weapon's normal effectiveness, whereas with weapon mastery, you can only get about 12.5 times the weapon's normal stats through just mastery, and that takes a while. Whereas once you have reliable ways of boosting your levels really quickly, getting your levels up to 9,999 isn't that difficult. But I'd still say humanoids have an edge because they still have the modifier associated with their equipment slots, so they don't have to worry about not being as effective with weapons as monsters can, because they can just equip something that'll boost their power by a whole lot in one of their equipment slots, and that will help them out. Now, I suppose you could argue that monsters could also do that and gain even more power, but they actually didn't anticipate how serious people would take this game and maximizing their characters, so the damage cap is actually fairly low, and you can roll over and hit negative damage pretty easily if you try hard enough. Or not hard enough, but just go long enough in the post-game and make enough powerful items. Oh. And the spear must have a gangster-type specialist on it, because that enemy got inflicted with Deprave. And I think I went over this. Deprave incurs a status penalty on enemies, but it's a pretty small one, only like 10 to 15%. Not as big as it is in later games, where it's like 50%. So, I think let's just have Flonne hit this guy with a little ice spell. Oh, never mind. That moment when the half damage bug isn't really giving me any issues and it's actually starting to become inconvenient for the rest of my team. Oh well. At least I know Flonne will have a good time on this map. Lucille, on the other hand, I'm probably going to have to do some grinding with after this chapter, because her only magic at this point is fire, and she can't really do much with that. So let's see how this combo works out. Not bad. Ooh, Guts might get this kill. Oh, nope. There we go. That's exactly how I wanted that to go.
Dead.
So yeah, the pretty big ice weakness of the enemies here actually makes this chapter pretty easy, because if you have even just a regular ice mage, they'll be able to knock out a ton of damage. And their skills level at a pretty decent rate, so you'll just be able to hit bigger and bigger areas of effect. So this is why the Dark Knights are actually in the worth using club. They actually have a decent amount of attack power to compensate for their limitations as monsters. And if I recall correctly, they actually have some pretty good skills to use too. It is nice to see that as the series go on, monsters have been improved, and as of the current games in the series, monsters are actually pretty good, but this game has just given such a bad impression of them to me that I rarely ever use them. Kind of a shame, really. So, let's heal up. And I think that is enough for this part. Got a decent number of cutscenes, and got to elaborate on some things that I didn't really talk about in previous videos, even if it was kind of poorly. So I think I'll end it here, and I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you have a nice day. That's a lot of hoping, but hey, see you next time.